Shalom Akim, Shalom Akwathiam. Kohala Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Kradash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to you, hopefully elect beloved brothers and sisters too as well. And shalom to you Israelite foreigners that look likened unto the heathen. What I want to do in this particular lesson here is focus on the Israelite foreigners. And why is that? Because in these last days, we're going to have Israelites that repent and turn back to this truth, but they look likened unto the heathen, all right? Specifically those, I want to put the focus on here, on those Israelites who live in Rome, who live in Italy, who consider themselves to be Sicilian, all right? Now, two men, these world-class famous actors, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro, his name literally translates to the glory of the blacks, all right? And I'm going to delve into that now. I'm going to bring out some facts and also delve into maps and some scriptures too as well to further substantiate the point. But many of you in Rome are Israelites. And according to the scriptures, we had many Israelites that dwell in Rome and or in Italy, all right? Now, if you don't know who Robert De Niro or Al Pacino is, you know, there's a few movies, and these are movies that they've done together collectively. These are not movies that they've done separately on their own. I'm sure we all can remember the movie Heat, which was a classic, Godfather Part 2, The Irishman, and Righteous Kill, just to name a few, right? Now, I know I mentioned from the onset that Robert De Niro, what his name translated to, but let me go into his name, you know, and just so you know this, the Italians, they were once considered to be black, all right? And how do we know this? Now, this is where AI does a bit of double talk, and this is what I mean by this. And you can look more into this in your own time, but just type in the search engine, Italians were once considered black, and it reads this. It reads, Italians were not legally classified as black in the 1800s, but they faced significant racial discrimination and were often considered a separate inferior race or a gray area of non-white in the United States social hierarchy. Here's the point. They were generally viewed as swarthy or having tawny complexions. And those of us in this truth, we know what swarthy and tawny mean, all right? But I'm going to delve into those words very lightly. Let's continue on for now. Complexion by the dominant Anglo-Saxon Protestants establishment. Now, the Anglo-Saxon Protestants, they were basically the Edomites, but let's come from this here, right? Let's come from this here. And let's go back into Robert De Niro and what his name translates to. Now, the name Robert, and I'll jump around and get a bit to get to the point. It is a Germanic given name. It literally translates into fame, bright, glory, honor, praise, renown, godlike. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, what does De Niro mean? And I had it highlighted previously, but it tells us this here. De Niro, name, meaning, and origin. Now, what does De Niro mean? We already understand what Robert means, right? Now, De Niro, it states here, it derives from the Italian phrase denaro or denaro, which translates to of black or the black one. This surname likely originates as a descriptive identifier, possibly referring to someone with dark features such as black hair or darker complexion. Beautiful. Let's come from here. So you put them both together, and what do you have? You have honor of the black, praise of the black, renown of the black, godlike of the black. That's what literally his name translates to, all right? Now, Robert De Niro, not only do we look at where he's from, but we go into where his father is from, all right? Because your lineage, according to Numbers, the 1st chapter and the 18th verse, is determined by your father, okay? All right? Your mother is just an incubator here. Now, again, jumping down to get to the point because I want to get to the scriptures that further substantiate that we had Israelites living in Rome, in Italy, and in these various locations here, okay? But let's continue on. It reads, Robert De Niro was born in Manhattan, in the Manhattan borough of New York City, in August 17, 1943, the only child of painter Virginia Admiral and Robert De Niro Sr. It was written to what Robert Niro translates to. Here's the point. His father was of Irish and Italian descent. And for those of us in this truth, we know and we understand that the blacks, quote unquote, so-called blacks, which were Israelites, they ruled Ireland. All right. We also resided in Italy too as well. But let's continue on. His father was of Irish and Italy descent, while his mother had Dutch and English, French, and German ancestry. Again, pointing back to Numbers, the first chapter in the 18th verse. Your mother is just the incubator. Your lineage is determined by your father. Now, what about Al Pacino? Alfred James Pacino was born in the East Harlem neighborhood of Manhattan, New York City on April 25, 1914, the only child of Sicilian-Italian parents, Rose and Salvatore Pacino. Here's the point. His father had immigrated from San Fratello. Now, where's San Fratello? Let's come out of this here, right? Now, San Fratello, it's a village in Sicily, Italy, all right? And it has a small map down here where that can be located. But let's come from here. I want to grab two quick definitions because remember, these individuals, or should I say this race of people, were once considered what? Swarthy and tawny. All right. And just for the sake of edification, what does swarthy means? It means a dark color. All right. Tawny. Now, what does tawny mean? Let's go from there to tawny. Tawny means what? A tan colored. Later, especially brown with dark or dull yellowish orange. All right, let me jump down a bit to get to the point so I can get right into the scriptures, further substantiating that we had Israelites living and residing in Italy and in Rome as well. But continuing on, it reads, or of like the brownish yellow of tanned leather. You see that? Continuing on, it reads dark brown tan. Let's come from here and let's get right into the scriptures. This is the book of Hebrews. This is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 24, and it reads, salute all them that have ruled over you and all the saints. Now, the saints is a specific group of people, and the saints are the Israelites. And how do we know? Psalms chapter 148, verse 14. Okay? But continuing on, it reads this, they of Italy salute you. You see that? We had Israelites living in Italy then, and we have Israelites residing in Italy now. And guess what? They look likened unto the heathens. All right? Okay? Let me come from here. Now let's go to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 1, verse 7. As a matter of fact, before I do it, let me grab a quick map here, because we know that previously the scriptures tells us in the book of Hebrews chapter 13, verse 24, it told us that those in Italy salute you. Now, Rome is located where? Inside Italy, is it not? Let's go to a quick map here. And what does it give us? Right now, Rome is located here, and let's zoom out a bit, and that's Italy there, is it not? And let's come out of this here, because this is where our people were scattered. We were scattered into the four corners of the earth, and by four corners, it means north, south, east, and west. Now let's go back to the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 7, and it reads, to all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints. And again, who are the saints? The children of Israel. The book of Psalms chapter 50, verse 5. We are those that the Lord made a covenant with by sacrifice. It reads, grace to you and peace from our power, our Father, and the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. And this same letter rings bells today, all right? Because our people are still scattered, Let me come from here. I want to go to the book of Acts. The point is in chapter 2, verse 10, but I want to grab chapter 2, verse 5. So, by the time we get to chapter 2, verse 10, you will know who all those individuals were that were in Jerusalem during that time. This is the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 5, and it reads, now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under the sun. Now, let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 10 through 11. It reads, Phrygia and Pamphylia. This is all the places that our people came from to keep that high holy day, that feast day, all right? Egypt and parts of Libya, adjourning with Cyrene, visitors from Rome, all right? Both Jews and proselytes, Cretans and Arabs, we heard them speaking in our own tongue the wonderful works of the Most High. You see that? All right? And our people, after they would keep those feast days, they will go back to that land where they resided. All right? Just like now, we're Israelites who are scattered about in the United States of America. All right? Whether we're in California, in Georgia, in Chicago, Midwest, Southeast, so on and so forth. All right, let me come from this here. Let me go to the book of Acts, chapter 18, verse 1 through 2. All right, listen to this encounter that Paul had during his ministry. It reads, ministering at Corinth. All right, in Corinth, that's southern Greece. But nevertheless, let's continue on so we can get the point. It reads this in chapter 18, verse 1. And after these things, Paul departed from Athens and went to Corinth. And he found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, who recently came from where? Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded that all the Jews depart from Rome. And he came to them. Now, I know one might be thinking, well, Claudius expelled the Israelites from Rome. Well, do understand, it's a fact that after the death of Claudius, the Israelites moved back to Rome. And it tells us this here in the AI overview. It reads, yes, many Jews returned to Rome after the Emperor Claudius died in AD 54, following his expulsion of them around 4950 AD. All right? Okay, let me come down here just to get a quick point, and I'll get right back to the scriptures. It reads, return after Claudius' death. After Claudius died in AD 54 AD, the Jews were able to return to Rome. And of course, when we went back to Rome, we mingled and mixed in among the heathens. And how do we know? We got the book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 35, and it reads, but they mingled with the nations and adopted their customs. They worshiped their idols, which became a snare unto them. And amongst that mixing and mingling, this is why we have Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9. It reads, my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds around about are against her, and at her is the nation of Israel, and the other birds are the heathen nations. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, and come to devour. Now, a good example of our people being likened unto the speckled birds is what you see here, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Again, these men have too much salt to be heathens, okay? Let me come from here. This is why when you come to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1, it also starts to come together. And it reads, greetings to the 12 tribes. It reads, James, a bondservant of the Most High and of the Lord, Yahushai HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. Because remember, again, our people have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. And by four corners, I mean north, south, east, and west. All right? But let's continue on, and I'll close out here in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 1 through 2. And it reads, Peter, an apostle of Yahushai HaMashiach, to the Most High's elect. And yes, the elect are going to look like all the other nations, right? But continuing on, exiles scattered throughout the province of Pontus. And let me say this about Pontus. Pontus was also a province of Rome too as well. Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. Bithynia was also a province of Rome, all right? Who have been chosen according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, through the sanctifying work of the Spirit, to be obedient to Yahushai HaMashiach and sprinkled with his blood. Grace and peace be yours in abundance. And that's the same thing that not only myself, but many of beloved brothers are saying to you speckled birds that look like unto the heathen, all right? You are of the household of Israel. If you're drawn to this truth, if you're attracted to it, chances are you are of the household of faith. And I hope through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, that this lesson has been edifying. Keep pushing, keep believing, keep the faith. Shalom.